Hey, fellow Gooners, and welcome to the Armchair Gooner. Here we are, back again after a little absence, singly. I'm sure, as you'll know, I've been doing a few of these videos now with my good friend Ant at Gooner Gospel. We do the Going Great Guns podcast, but that's a joint thing between the two of us. This is just me being me. And I thought I'd come to you this time. I've done a couple of podcasts, but I haven't done a video for a while. I thought I'd come to you this time because, of course, we've just had the North London derby, and what a derby it was! It was everything you wanted from a North London derby, really, especially if you're a Gooner. But even a neutral, it was a good game of football, sort of. Had goals, incidences, and all sorts. And it was one of those moments for me. I think it's going to be a turning point in the Mikel Arteta evolution as a manager. Before the game, obviously we had if we go right back to the Olympiacos game, a decent away win. Scoreline probably might just have sort of flattered us a little bit. A couple of goals were decent efforts, but we played okay out there, but to come away with a 3-1 win was brilliant. Basically a 2 away goal difference. They've given us a 2-0 head start basically at the Emirates, and the way we're playing at the moment, you do think we will get goals against them. So I think even it would be hard for us now to stuff this one up and not go through to the last 8. So on the back of that, going into the North London derby, we've had a couple of moments where we've been up and down. The Benfica game was a roller coaster game, and then coming back and beating Leicester, and then drawing the game after the Burnley game. So we weren't really sure what we were going to get against Spurs. And then on the morning of the game, before the game, you had Mourinho giving it the big. I only ever look up, I don't look down, all that nonsense. Probably playing it down too much, really. Because you're only going to get players like Harry Kane, Gareth Bale to a degree. There's no one really in that side, Doherty, that really get the gravity of the game, and that's something we've added to our side with the likes of Emil Smith-Rowe, Saka. Youngsters that have come through at Arsenal and know what it means to beat Tottenham. And it is the sign of a mid-table clash when both teams, that's all they're worried about, is beating the other one. But bragging rights, man, and you can't tell me Spurs wouldn't have been jumping up and down if they'd have beaten us. So it's that game. It's the game that you look at. It's the first game you look at when the fixture list comes out. So on the beginning of the day, of course, it transpires that Aubameyang has probably pushed his luck one time too many. The official reason given after, what could you say? It wasn't. It was like it's like it came. There was not much prying or probing. It came out that he was fined for discipline. He was dropped for disciplinary reasons, and it was a bit of like, well, what are disciplinary reasons? We'll keep that in house. But it was because he was late timekeeping. Now, there are many sides to this bit. I think that Arteta was right to do what he did. Doesn't matter who you are. If you've got a set of rules that the club need to follow, and the manager lays down that are absolute, and it doesn't matter who you are. If you don't follow those, you suffer the consequences. It was a massive call to do it to your top player in terms of stature in the club, game winner, and all that. Obviously captain. To do it on the morning of a game, huge. And to do it in the North London derby, that takes some stones, because it could have gone massively wrong for him. It would have been that would have got pointed to, nothing else. it wouldn't matter what sort of performance it was. It would have been the fact that he had done that to Aubameyang, and it does make you wonder what else he's done, because you can't. I don't imagine he would have just dropped him. It wasn't even a proper drop in, because it was just it. It just feels like Arteta seems to make these choices and these decisions, and he seems to make example of players. He did it back at the beginning of the season with Pepe, throwing him under a bus almost. And he obviously did it with Ozil. Ozil played all the games before lockdown, and then didn't. And it does make you wonder if he's trying to stamp some sort of authority on there that must already be there, but it does make you wonder what sort of effect that's going to have around the team and the squad when they're seeing their captain, who it's clear people like and he gets on with. It's not. I don't envisage this troublemaker that originally when we signed him, people said we were going to get. It looks like he's quite a harmonious dressing room there now. So it does make you wonder what's going to happen with him and the rest of the squad, but also Arteta's got to show that he's strong enough. When I say that these are the rules, and so he has to do it. But man, I don't know if I would be able to do a big call. I mean, that's a massive call before a North London derby. And I think if you were looking back at old school managers, say your George Grahams or your Alex Fergusons, they would have dropped him. It would have been for the reasons that they gave, but in the press, you would have said he got injured in the warm-up or there were personal issues. But maybe that's what we were all moaning about with Ozil. It was always there were always underlying issues. They never actually told us what. So maybe it's a change of direction. Maybe he's saying, no, he didn't turn up on time, and that's what it. And it's not the first time it's happened. So I've taken action against it. Hopefully Pierre will learn from this. That sort of thing. But it probably, in terms of the game, what it did do is probably give Emil Smith-Rowe a start, because Odegaard was definitely is a nailed-on starter now for Mikel, definitely. And I imagine he would have gone with Lacazette up front, with Aubameyang playing wide on the left, where Emil Smith-Rowe started the game. So Smith-Rowe has probably benefited from it, and that means that Arsenal benefit from it. Smith-Rowe and Odegaard, they're starting to make a good partnership. And a lot of that is the intelligence as a footballer of Emil Smith-Rowe. He obviously wanted to play in the number 10, and Odegaard's come in. And rather than grumble and groan or whatever about it, he's gone, right, well, how can I fit in with this guy? Let's see if I can play with him rather than compete for places, for the same place. And you're getting a much more dynamic style of football. Now, that will get beaten occasionally, which is why we've got the spine at the back. But going forward, we are looking really good. There's still a little bit of pace issues there for me, in terms of we slow it down too much when we get to the opponent's last third. But you've got. I mean, Odegaard is playing his way into decent form. I imagine that there's a bit of a sort of, you've come from Madrid, but if you come here permanently, this is your berth. This is where you're going to play. Berth, B-E-R-T-H, not B-I-R-T-H. So it's like because it's going to be difficult to prize them away from Real Madrid, especially with how bad Barcelona are doing. Or how much trouble they're in, because Madrid are going to get a free crack, I would imagine, at the league next year, because of the financial troubles with Barcelona. But you'd like to think that Odegaard is more about what he wants to play football. He's travelled about a bit, he's been on loan a couple of times from Madrid. And if we're looking at the players that we've got, then you've got to say, sorry, Danny, Ceballos will terminate your loan, and we're going to keep Odegaard. I mean, even if we get him for one more loan year, like we did again with Ceballos, I'd take that extra option. Obviously, I'd want to buy him. I think we should try and buy him. What does worry about him, for me, though, is going to start getting these reviews and rave reviews, and we're going to start building him up, and the press will start building him up, and Madrid are going to come over and start watching him. They're going to want to take him back, but while they're watching him, they're going to see Saka, and they're going to see just how good Saka is, and they're going to want to take him off us. And we need to keep that boy tied down. Honestly, his ability, his reading the game, his desire, his passion, his adaptable. He is adaptable. He can play in different roles as well, which is good. You know, adaptability is key for this Arsenal side, I think, for Arteta. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried that Madrid might come knocking on the door for him, and if they chuck a big enough number at him, I think the Kroenkes might take it, especially after walloping 50 million on Partey, who again in the derby finished 90 minutes. He's going to get better and better. He's going to get more and more control and get used to everything. You know, considering he came in when he did, I think, and has had the injuries and that he's had. I genuinely think he's going to be a force next year. So it was, you know, you had all the components there for this derby. You had the young Arsenal kids, Gareth Bale coming back. Kane wanted to prove something again. He always scores against us. Son always seems to play well against us. But the difference this time is, from even the one we played in November, December, is Spurs have decided to go backwards in their thinking. Now, when they played Burnley off the park the other week and played 4-0, I didn't watch it. I just saw the result, and I just thought instantly, oh no, we're coming at them right at the wrong time. And if there's anyone out there still that thinks we should have got Mourinho instead of Arteta, you need to give your heads a wobble. Yes, they're above us in the league at the moment, but my God, they're falling. They are falling fast. They're getting the occasional results here and there, but they were top of the league a couple of months ago. Being talked about. I mean, bizarrely, they're still being talked about as reaching top four, but I don't see that myself. Not if he carries on playing the way he's playing now. They are so negative. They do not want the ball until the last 10 minutes of the game, when they think you're tired, and they'll just start pinging long balls over the top for Son, and that's where they fell down straight away. So they were looking for Son, and he's pinged his hamstring. That instantly changes the effect that Harry Kane has on the game and their style of play, because Lamella comes on and he's not as quick as Son, he's not as clever as Son, and look, he scored a Rabona, right? There's something about that goal that I won't ever see as world class. Yes, it was a decent finish, yes, it was a tidy finish. He drills it across the floor, it goes in, there's a little bit of a nutmeg on the way. But he's only done it because he hasn't got a right foot. If he swings his right foot at that goes, he either scuffs it or it goes wide for a corner. You know, it doesn't have the same effect. So he's got to do that because he's got no confidence in his own right foot. But maybe we should still have cleared it. But you've got to give him to even attempt it. Fair play to him. But we had played him off the park at that point. You know, like I say, in the December game, they were picking us off, and once they got their 2 goals, they just sat back and didn't want to play. But this time they were trying to reverse that and sit back in for the first, and then come at us when they thought we'd tired and our concentration would slip. That's what for me was how Mourinho was going to set them up to play, and you could see that, like I say, it was Son's hammy went as he was running, and actually if his hammy hadn't gone, that might have been a decent chance for him because he is that quick. So we go 1-0 down, and possibly our third best attacking option on the pitch, Kieran Tierney, who I can't believe no one else came in for, and I stand by this. He walks into any Premier League side, even Man City, he gets in above Kyle Walkers and all that sort of stuff. It's just quality, and I said this on my podcast. He might not be better than Andy Robertson in some people's eyes, but he's definitely level for me, absolutely. And if you put Tierney in that Liverpool side from last year, he would have had as good a season as Robertson did. For me, it's a no-brainer. He is superb. So how no one else had come in for him. I don't understand. And he's got, he's played in the Glasgow derby. The old firm, the North London derby is not going to be much different. It's not going to be much different to him, and he's not going to be intimidated by it in that respect. So he's the sort of player that you want to have in your side. We've all said it, future Arsenal captain without a shadow of a doubt. And what he does is he brings other players. He gets other people playing the same way as he does. They're like, oh well, I'm going to fight for it if he's fighting for it. I'm going to move quicker because he's moving quicker. And when you're Kieran Tierney, you're bombing down the wing, and you see Martin Odegaard, he's not just making forward runs. He's peeling off. He's moving into space, and that's creating the easy option and the easy pass, and you know where he's going to be, and that's what led to the goal. Odegaard knew when to make his move because he knew that Kieran Tierney was going to bring Doherty in and then skin him. Yeah, he got a little bit of a deflection, but their goal was lucky and so was ours. And Smith Rowe was so unlucky not to finish his effort when it came crashing back off the bar. Cedric's effort was just as good for the fact that he had to run to get it. He was on the run to even get to the ball, generate the power he got and the direction. That was a decent hit. And Spurs were offering us nothing. It was real strange for me to see Gareth Bale on the right. I don't watch Spurs enough, so I don't know if this is a current ploy or whatnot. But to put an aging Gareth Bale up against Kieran Tierney, I thought was a strange choice in itself anyway. But I suppose you've got to try and fit him and sort of Min in, and then Lamela as well. But they were just ineffectual. And Mourinho's even admitted it, fair play to him. It's one of the few things that he did say, that they were ineffectual. That's probably their fault, not his. But it meant something going in at 1-1 because we deserved at least to be level. We deserved to be ahead, but after the Rabona goal, to go in level felt just about okay. Not right, but it felt just about okay. And then at the start of the second half, we had the moment, didn't we? A fantastic ball from Pepe, probably actually, to be fair, a little bit overhit. But Lacazette managed to control it. And when I say overhit, probably that's not right, but it was hitting too much pace. But Lacazette manages to control it, just gets himself into the box. But then, so he's done all the hard stuff, and then he takes a massive swing at it, fluffs his shot, and Davinson Sanchez comes off the floor. Yes, he's trying to block it. He's not trying to take the player out. I'll give him that. But if David Luiz gets sent off for running towards the goal against Wolves, then for me, he should be sent off as well. 100% should be sent off. I don't think it was a dangerous challenge. I think it was a block tackle. But if you're going to use one as an example, the other one has to follow, because that was a worse lunging, diving challenge than David Luiz just running past and the geezer's studs hitting his knee. It's a no-brainer for me. It's a stonewall penalty, despite what Jermaine Genius thinks. Hilariously, Jermaine Genius on Twitter telling a Spurs-supporting level 5 referee that he doesn't understand football. Jermaine Genius has completely lost the plot, even more than the 4-2, 5-2 loss against Chelsea in the Cup. Forget that. This new Genius one, this is going to run because obviously the geezer has lost his marbles. I don't know if the BBC are paying him to be a football-esque Piers Morgan troll. If they are, he is an absolute genius. He's playing it spot on. If they're not, I think he's the one that doesn't understand football when he played it professionally. It is 100% a penalty. The VAR, nothing. It was. He didn't even turn to go and have a look at it because it was a penalty. And that seemed to sort of shake Spurs a little bit. But they didn't really, like I said, they didn't come out themselves until the last 10 minutes. I think that was always going to be their plan. They couldn't shake that off. I tell you what else couldn't be shaken off, and that was Harry Kane couldn't shake Gabriel off unless he fouled him. How that is not picked up, I've said it's a forearm smash into his head. It's probably around about there when he leans in with him as well. But how that's not picked up by VAR, fourth official, whoever, The only thing I can think of is because, and I've tweeted about it all weekend since it happened, is because of the armband. Because he wears the captain's armband for England, he is allowed a little bit extra free rein. Honestly, genuinely believe that now. How can you not? VAR was supposed to pick up things that are missed off the ball. That was off the ball. Gabriel's pass, the ball had gone. Harry Kane was so late, Mikel Arteta would have dropped him if he was playing for him. That's how late he was. But you know, and that sort of when Lamela went off. So yeah, so sorry, I got sidetracked because of that foul. But Lamela getting sent off when Harry Kane should have been. I mean, they should have been down to 9 men. They could have gone down to 9 men with Højbjerg, who was just nibbling away at all the players. How the referee just gave him so many warnings. It was about 5 warnings before he actually did anything. But the Lamela sending off seemed to, as it always does, obviously this is an obvious statement, but changed the game. But it changed Arsenal's game again as well, which is what we shouldn't do. And it's something that we've accused Arsenal of before is not being able to see out a game. They've tried it again. They tried to see out the game. And that was the wrong thing to do against this Spurs side, because that's what they want. They want you to sit back. They want you to sit back, and they'll ping against you on a counter attack. And they got closer and closer and closer. They just left it too late, and the delicious retribution of Gabriel sticking his face in the way of that ball to deny Spurs a last-minute equaliser can only be topped by what happened and then having Harry Kane's goal disallowed. So the whole game, as a microcosm, was brilliant. It's what you want a North London derby to be. There's still some concerns for me over tactics and bits and pieces, but I think he's getting there, Arteta. I'm recording this late on a Tuesday night, so we've got the Europa League coming up on Thursday, the second leg. And I think that game's where we're going to see Martinelli. I think he's going to say to him, right, we've got a 2-goal cushion, like I say. Pepe will start. Martinelli will probably start. He might even play Willian through the centre in what is now called the Odegaard role. You're going to see a lot of, not too many changes at the back. I think he needs to be able to protect the 2 goals as well, but he needs to freshen it up and give some of his players a rest. Saka obviously tweaked a hammy, which is why he came off. I don't think you'll see Odegaard or Smith Rowe because the job is done, and why bother risking them? It'll probably be Mari and Holding at the back, perhaps, or Mari and Louise. Bellerin will probably play. But, you know, it's good. We've got options. And they're slowly but surely coming into it. And people that keep saying, oh, why should we trust the process? It's not even about the process. This manager is learning on the job as a manager. He might be all the tactical skills, and, you know, he's got all the coaching badges and all that malarkey, but he's actually still got to learn how to manage the club and manage situations. He's been through a really rough spell. We're going through a topsy-turvy spell at the moment. But genuinely, give this guy a full pre-season, a pre-season, and give him an injury-free squad, and let's see what he does then. Because I'm quite happy with what's going on at the moment. I am, like I say, he's learning the job, but he's learning. He is learning, and he's making the changes. And hopefully, we're not going back to, you know, we won't go back to that turgid football that we had, where we're just dropping points left, right, and centre, which has cost us why we are where we are now. But we're playing good football. We are creating chances. I think at one point Tierney had an XG of 4 on his own. I don't know how they work out XG, but that was it. Yeah, so that's it. You know, the North London derby was won. Technically on as even, because they beat us there as well, which is probably how it should be. It normally goes to type. The home team normally win it, but it was nice to get a North London derby win without Harry Kane scoring. And Spurs are still 1 win, right? Spurs have won 475 Premier League games. Arsene Wenger won 476. Arsene was there for 20 years. So Spurs had 4 years in the Premier League. So, yeah, Premier League started in 1993, 92-93 season. Wenger came in the 97 season. So you had 5 years there if you go 92 to 97. And then he's been gone 3 years, so 8 years. They've had 8 years to have got those extra the wins, and they still, you know, they still one win behind Arsene Wenger. You know, and we've got. I saw a Spurs fan on Facebook today, so the Tuesday, saying that they had won more trophies than us. So why do Arsenal keep banging on about the fact that they're a small club with no history? And I was like, what? I couldn't understand where it's coming from. So someone said, well, how are you working this out? And it was including the shared Ipswich Charity Cup and the Costa del Sol Cup and the Audi Cup. He's putting those in their actual honours lists. Mental. Absolutely mental. And that's the sort of thing where you're dealing with when you go for a North London derby. I'm not saying that we haven't got our own issues and fans like that, but mind blown. Anyway, that was me rambling on for nearly half an hour about a game that finished a couple of days ago. I just wanted to take my time over it and enjoy it. I'm probably going to go and watch it again, just because, not even for the game, but just to watch Jermaine Genius break down. It's lovely. It was a lovely image. Stay safe, Gooners. We're coming at the end of this. Hopefully get out of this pandemic soon. Hopefully the fans will be back in the stadium for next season. Please click like, share and subscribe. Come and find me on social media. I'm on Twitter at JT. Sorry, that's my own. That's a different one. We can find me at JT Gooner and at Gooner Armchair. I'd really love to have some other football fans on. You don't have to be Arsenal fans. Just someone come on and talk, and we'll do this, and we can have a little roundup of the football from the week. I'm probably going to do another one of these with at Gooner Gospel for the Going Great Guns hashtag Going Great Guns podcast. Come and join us on there as well. But above all else, stay safe and enjoy your football, and I'll see you when I see you next. Cheers, everyone.